what are we jamming on now, Jay? What are you jamming on now?
So, I mean, it's been a pretty quiet week for Xbox, if you can imagine. Quiet couple weeks, nothing.
Yeah,
going on.
I was going to ask you. I meant to ask if you were. I was going to ask if you were gainfully employed still. Actually, was.
Thankfully, yes. Definitely. Thankfully, yes. So no comment further. But yeah, it's as a result of just being a little busier than normal. I've played, a lot more Call of Duty Zombies when I could. Parents were in town, so didn't get a lot of playing in. But the new season dropped of that, so there's a lot more missions, a lot of extra stuff. Mega Abominations walking around the Tier 2 zone, which threw me off, but was also exciting and awesome because they're supposed to be in Tier 3 only. You're not supposed to have these things just walking through the medium threat zone ready to just stomp you immediately. So it was pretty cool, pretty exciting.
You slipping.
Yeah, a good thing we were plated up, dogbow and everything. We were geared up when that happened. So everybody was, I was running with the guys too. So we were all ready. Hey, focus. He's like, there's a mega abomination. I'm like, what do you mean? Because I was inside a building, looting something. He's like, there's a mega abomination outside. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, what do you mean? What do I mean? So I went outside and I was like, what? So it was pretty awesome. And then a second one showed up. And so, some fun, different stuff happening, which is good to keep the game fresh. Outside of that, man, I don't know about you. I'm assuming not, but just a lot of palworld. Have you played it? Do you even know what I'm talking about, Josh?
It's Pokemon, is it not? It's Pokemon. I know everyone keeps saying no, it's not Pokemon. It's but it's Pokemon. You're catching Pokemon.
You're definitely doing Pokemon things by catching things. That is an aspect for sure. It's but the base of it is really an action adventure survival monster taming game. You definitely tame them, but they work for you in your base. It's much more base building. I find myself wanting to get in, to log on rather, just to see how much more of the base that I can build. It started off as not a big aspect of the game, and I was like, I'll just build a little house because I need a bed to sleep in or whatever. But then
that's how they always get you. That's how the base building always gets you.
And it was in a corner, because I was like, I'm just excited to go out and explore this world and catch these pals. But then when I realized a lot of them have special things that are unique to them that you can only find out in the world once you craft them and unlock them later, but you got to do other things to do it. And there's bosses. And so it's kind of like your open world game, but if they were Pokemon, it would probably be the greatest Pokemon game ever sold. If it was Pokemon, but it's not. It's these pals and they have weapons and they are you can evolve them and pick them up and use them in different ways. Instead of hey, I'm taking the Pokemon or the pal and throwing it. Pokemon, I always do that, by the way. Always do that. If I take the pal and throw it.
From everything I heard and everything you're saying now, it sounds justifiable, Jay. I don't think you.
Exactly. The characters are different. They obviously have different kind of powers and things. Some of them have submachine guns and they just get out and use on their own. But if you unlock a certain ability, they just stand on you and constantly shoot their submachine guns. So it's just different things like that. And you can have one that you can put a collar on it and it always stays by your side. So you can have another one go fight at the same time. So it's almost I don't know, man. It's people talk about Ark. I don't know if you've ever played Ark or a game like that, but just heavy base building, heavy open world.
Honestly, what you're describing, this is going to be nothing to you, but what you're describing makes me think of Dungeon Keeper and War of the Overworld, I believe, was what the
well, you went way deep.
Kind of not, these are, but those are, I loved those games, and they were very much that way. You had to build certain things in your base to curate certain types of parts of your army, and, I'm sure infinitely more simplified rather than all the ins and outs of this, but that concept, I know exactly that feeling of I got to build this. I'm going to need more of this to get more of those. And I know exactly what we're talking about here as far as the internal mechanisms.
Yep. And it's, I never thought one of the things because I play so many open world games nowadays, right? There's so many of them, whether you're talking about Assassin's Creed, Zelda, whatever it is, so many of them. So when you can, and because of that, I think some games have failed when they have failed to vary the enemies that you fight in those open world, Marvel's Avengers. Great game, gameplay wise is very fun to me, but you just kept fighting robots over and over and over. It's come on, you gotta, this is not fun. What are we doing? do you just not want us to kill people? That's why we're not fighting any very people like enemies. You're just giving us different robots. Like it was super annoying. But this, obviously, if you're catching Pokemon, like, ooh, you want to catch them all. Like the pals are kind of similar. Like when I'm out in the open world and I'm just trying to explore or get to a certain point of like POV and I see different kind of pals, I'm like, oh, I definitely got to go catch them because I don't know like what kind of pal this is going to be, because they also do different things in your base. Some of them are like handiwork. Some of them do like farming, some, all that kind of stuff. So it's like, oh, I need different kinds of pals to like be in my base. And I even built this overlook tower, which I'm not going to use upon further inspection, but you could to either like make them work normally, work them hard, work them even harder. And like their sanity goes down the harder you work them. Yeah. And like they start getting depressed and like upset and like it's great. I love it. But I'm like, no, I want to keep them like productive so they can build me things.
That was again old comparison, but one of the funnest things about Dungeon Keeper was because they would kind of, your minions would kind of fuck off, might not be doing the thing that you want them doing, training or whatever it would be, and like you could slap them. You could just like you had a hand.
You can.
You had a hand. You could just slap them and be like, "Get back to fucking go do the thing I told you to do," and they would get their shit together and go do it.
See, me being the gentle ruler, I go and pet them, and then they like start smiling. It does like the Animal Crossing thing where they like do like an emote and like little roses and things, So it does the cute things that like draw you in with the cute pals, and you can take them. And,
Asgard's Wrath got that too. If you're trying to befriend all the, not only befriend but advance the befriendment tree of like not bind, but bind,
like your relationship.
Yeah, you're like building your relationship
connection.
Yeah,
that's. So it's a blast, man. And me and Jesse, like it's open world, so you can invite people in. So, my brother started playing with me and I got him hooked, which is awesome. So we went out and fought the first boss together. And, I wanted to see what that would be like. And of course it was a blast, big boss fight. You go in and it kind of shows an arena where there's like a POW and then like they throw the ball and their giant POW jumps out. And of course, they're like 5 times as tall as you.
It even has like a ball, like a Pokeball.
Yeah. They're PAL spheres. You got to throw them and catch the PAL.
Why are people even trying to say that there's any? I hear the dialogue, I hear the chatter in my periphery of like, yo, it's not Pokemon. Like that's fucking Pokemon. What do you mean? If you're not even gonna do the work to like change the device that you catch them with, that's insane. I think Nintendo should be suing them too. Then what the fuck? And I'm the least litigious person on the planet.
Yeah, obviously the way you're talking about it sounds like Pokemon. When you play it, it's like, oh, you throw a ball, it catches it, like that's a Pokemon similar. There's enough different that when you're playing it, you're like, yeah, this feels actually very, very different to like a Pokemon game. Like that is like a thing that Pokemon does. Yes, that is from Pokemon, but otherwise it feels completely different of a game. Honestly.
Okay.
But it's great. Well, to each their own, like it's still great.
Maybe. Is it coming to VR?
Of course, the standard next question is well, considering this,
I've never gotten into Pokemon. Have you ever played Pokemon? No. I don't think we ever had the discussion. Have you ever played any Pokemon games?
You know what? Outside of Pokemon Go,
same.
Yeah, doesn't really count.
Just because it was such a thing. It was such a thing, but also so little friction to get going.
I'm outside. I'm going to be outside anyway.
It's on my phone, exactly. It's just a phone app. Yeah, same thing. That's the only time I've ever engaged Pokemon in any way, shape, or form either. So it's interesting to me because everything about it sounds like the kind of thing I like all those types of collecting. Like I feel
everything
about
love this. Yeah,
everything else about it is 100% my wheelhouse. It's just some sort of like it's probably just my cunty like too many people do it thing. Like I'm just not doing it just because it can't be as good as this many people think it is. Thereby, no.
you would. The funny thing is, Jesse was against it at first too. He was like, nah. And then finally, he was like, all right, I've read up about it. I'll just give it a try. Then it was like, all right, what's the code to your world? And then we're like they're all, you know what I mean? Then it's like, we got to go fight a boss. It was great. You just get sucked in. It's just, I can't describe it because it sounds like It's one of those things, I don't know the history of it. It sounds like there was like a whole cult following leading up to it. And it's still in preview. So keep in mind, people have bought this thing and it's still in preview knowing that there's bugs and like they're still working on it. But it's still fun. Like I thought, because of other game previews that have come out, I expected the game to be even more limited than it is. But if like, because of that, I just haven't expanded and like explored out there. So there's so much more to it than even I have seen yet. I don't even like read about it on or watch things on YouTube because I don't want them spoiled. I got to experience it myself. So I highly recommend it. You have an Xbox.
Do I?
Turn it on.
I honestly
I don't want to even hear that you got rid of it. It's going to hurt my ears. I'm going to cry. I'm going to cry if you tell me you got rid of it.
For some reason or another, like we have this center, like this, I don't know what to call it, like some sort of dining coffee table fucking thing that holds all the remotes and game controllers and stuff. And for the longest time, it had both the Oculus sets of controllers in it, the two Xbox controllers, and the Pro Switch controller. Like all of them were there. Probably a month or so ago, all the other controllers got put away. I just took them all out and put them in the drawer where all my other junk is. Xbox and Switch both. The controllers got thrown in the junk drawer.
That hurts, man.
That's how much. Well, I mean,
how much you love VR. You're just in love with VR. You're obsessed with VR.
I heard Microsoft is getting rid of their Xbox too. So if they don't even care about it, why should I?
Don't believe the news, Josh. Don't believe the news.
Okay, word. Anything else? Palworld and
that's it. Palworld and COD Zombies, man. That's been the bulk. I tried to dip my toe back into Diablo 4 last night, but I was too tired. I started it way too late because I know that's a new season that I've missed, and I want to jump back in because that game is still freaking fun.
Okay. Well, Asgard's Wrath is still dominating my gaming landscape, but this motherfucking game deleted my save, Jay! This game deleted my fucking save! I was like, I don't know, 50 hours in, and it deleted the save. And I didn't know. I found something out that you should hear, and everyone who has a fucking an Oculus or Quest or whatever should hear. There is a cloud save function that you just log into your Meta account, and you can just reload a cloud save backup to your device. The problem is, it only keeps one for every application, and if you go too long after the moment when you want to have restored, it will have saved a new one onto it, particularly if you use the app all the fucking time. So, I didn't know about this thing's existence until it was too late, and I couldn't restore my save prior to this deletion happening. Dude, I was wrecked, dude. I was wrecked. So I think, and again, I don't have any way to
That's rough.
I don't have any scientific proof of this is what happened, but I think it did this crash thing that honestly it happened a bunch with the first one via that PCVR shit. Has not happened with this one really much at all. A couple of times really. And it's not even crashing. It's just it locks up. It locks your view, but you can still keep looking around, and it's just black area around that view where it locked up, right? So if you let it go long enough, I think it will fix itself on this, on 2. And I don't think I let it do that. And on top of that, it happened when I was it must have been the most anomalous of things to make this all happen, but it happened when I was materializing after a fast travel, and I think it saves on all fast travels. So I think it basically locked up mid-save, and I power cycled it because I didn't wait for it to get back. So I think it corrupted the save period. So this happens, and I turn it back on after the power cycle, and it just it's acting like I just installed it, and I'm like, I don't even know how to describe my inner turmoil. I'm like, what the fuck? It has to do this I don't even know. It's called compiling shaders. I don't know what's happening. It's this number that will count very fast when you start the app sometimes at the bottom of the screen. But the first time you installed it, it's a higher number and it counted slower. So it was doing that, and I'm like, what the fuck? And it gets all the way through that, and then I start the game, and it takes me to like the tutorial thing, and I'm like, oh my god! And I'm like emailing and tweeting and like fucking, I lost my shit. Like, what the fuck? Send all this shit and fucking, nothing. Don't get any information. And then like the next day, I think to check the Discord, which is where everyone puts this information now. And I hate that fucking app, so I never think to check it, and I never use it. And if I'd have went there, I'd have found this. There's some guy trolling through there telling people about this fucking cloud backup thing that you can use. And the game has one in it too. You can wind back your saves in the game also, but in this case, it had corrupted it, so it didn't even exist. There was nothing to roll back to in the app, which I tried that when I was doing all my various troubleshooting on my own. But so fuck, dude. Yeah, I lost it. I glass half fulled it on the basis that I understand how the game works now. So my character builds, my follower builds, and all the skills and stuff, I can build them more knowledgeably and less aimlessly, which is true, and I think that is going better. But I'm
50 hours.
Yeah, dude, I'm like 2 weeks later. Probably, and I'm just almost back to where I was, probably playing a ton, and yeah, it was just so heart-wrenching, dude. I don't even know how to describe how and I was
surprised you went back and did it again.
Well, the game's too good, dude. The game's too good. I couldn't do it. I'm on pins and needles. It did that. Like it did I don't know, I think it got updated or something the other day, and it did a weird shader thing when I was loading the game. I was like, the whole time it was happening, I was like, fucking death grip on like everything. Like this fucking thing.
Better go.
Yeah, if it fucking doesn't load, I'm gonna lose it. Thankfully, not the case though.
I feel like that's a stressful situation now. Every time you play the game, you're like,
right. But yeah, and I think now though that I have that cloud backup knowledge, and even if it does happen again. Theoretically, I think I can fix my life, but yeah, it's just so fucking rough, dude. Here's the wild thing. So I restart it, and there's these things that are called rift battles or something. Like, basically, you're just walking around the world, and out of nowhere, this like portal will open, and the three god ladies that are kind of like the
fates kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't even know how they're like the ones that are kind of like most loosely guiding your god form through this quest.
Okay.
And Loki creates these rifts, and you have to go into them and kill everything in them, and then they can seal them back up, basically, once you kill the stuff that's in the rift. So they're basically like these little arena battles, bonus stage kind of things. And you get treasures at the end of them and shit, and just whatever items. So I've done 1 million of these in the last playthrough, and they're all just normal. You go in, it's just like another stage in the game, do it, whatever, come back out, and you go back to the normal game. I go and visit my buddy Will. The one we watched the Cavs games with, at Fort Irwin, and he already beat the game in like 2 weeks. Dude. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, he's already beat it, and he's talking about there being an AR function for it, like an AR aspect to it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, yeah, the Rift things. I'm like, dude, I played like 50 hours before this.
What do you mean?
Yeah, what are you talking about? So I guess some of these are AR things. So you go into them, and then before the battle starts, you have to grab this thing, and it kind of explains to you that you're going to be doing these portals. And once you grab the item, it goes to AR pass-through mode where you can see your room.
What?
And these windows, it kind of like, it sounds awesome.
Oh,
and it is like kind of.
You were talking about this in a different game, I remember.
Well, that tech demo thing. It's the same concept, but that eventually opens up to the whole space, everything right. Like you eventually knock out all the walls, and your room goes away, and that's just like a slow progress towards that. You start in your room, and then the walls start falling away. It just keeps opening up a new window in your room, and then enemies. You can see a few enemies in it, and then sometimes they'll run through the portal at you, and you have to... But the problem is you're locked in place. You can't move around necessarily, which means you have to rely on melee combat which is not really how I play the game. I use a lot of ranged battling, you know.
So you can't have like bow and arrow?
You can, but you can't move away from them to keep distance. So you can shoot your bow and arrow with them right on top of you, but they're going to be smashing the shit out of you. So
I see.
So it's a little fucked in that regard. I've had the first one, I was like, this kind of sucks because of that. I've had a few more now, and I don't know why they're happening now and didn't happen before. Like I said, I played the shit out of the game. I don't want to do anything different other than going faster because I know what I'm doing. You know, but I don't know what I could possibly be doing to catalyze these happening this time and not the last time I was playing the game.
Wait, so you didn't change anything?
I didn't change anything.
They're just happening anyway?
I mean, they haven't happened, but it's been maybe 2 or 3 times, you know, and I'm almost to the same place, but they didn't happen at all before. So yeah, I don't know what the difference is there. But the thing is, having to battle the way those force you to battle has also taught me some things. I've learned a few things I can do in melee combat that makes it more enjoyable and effective. So even though I was kind of pissed or irritated about them at first, it's kind of forced me to learn some new combat mechanics, parrying things and fight, like knocking projectiles back at enemies that fire things at you. Mm-hmm. So they've kind of forced me to probably become a better player too. But it is, it's an awesome idea, like I said, in concept. But I wish there was some way for you to still have some mobility, so you could kind of fight the way you want to.
I still find it fascinating that you had not experienced these before.
I do too.
Until you read about it.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
It's like somebody was watching and they're like, "Oh, he found out the truth. We got to send him in. We got to unlock the special mode for him. He found out it exists." Like, what is this? Like,
I don't see how it's possible, dude. Because I mean, I'm telling you, when Will said that, I do have 50. Like loving this game, played 50 hours, just went through this already like really traumatic experience. It had just happened right before I went out to visit him, and then he tells me this earth-shattering function that I hadn't even seen. I'm like, what are you fucking talking about? You know? Yeah, pretty wild.
Lies, deceptions.
But now that I'm back on track, fucking, you know.
Good stuff.
It's such a good game, dude. It's so fucking good. I hope I don't lose my save again. So played a bunch of that. That's really it for games. I tried, I wanted to sit down the other night and started playing a little bit of Expect You to Die 3 again, that like escape room, spy-themed escape room game. That I had gotten on sale a while back, and fucked with it a little bit, but it's basically just been all Asgard's Wrath. I did the Let's Talk Oculus pod mentioned this documentary. You got to get this, dude. It's fucking so good. They mentioned this JFK documentary that is available on there now. It's a VR documentary, so it's like 35 minutes, 5 eps between like 5 and 8 minutes each, and dude.
JFK?
Yeah. I mean, you know, I'm not like, it's not like I'm like fucking
history buff.
I mean, I do like history. I mean, I might be a history buff, but I'm not like a JFK nut or anything. Yeah. You know, I'm not like, it is certainly interesting that the president got his head blown off and there's video of it and it's like such a thing. Yeah, that's kind of interesting, but I'm definitely not like a JFK fanatic. And this is, because there's all sorts of shit. And, you know, again, I do like history, and I've certainly watched JFK documentaries before, but there's a bunch of shit in there I did not know. But it's VR, dude. So they have taken photographs of various, you know, they have part of it's out on the street. So you're like walking through this little part of Dallas where the car fucking motorcade goes through, and like you see how, you know, you've seen all those videos a million times. You hear about the grassy knoll and like all the fucking from the window, all that shit. You hear all that. You can even watch flat screen documentaries.
Yeah, completely
different to be there and see it all happen and understand the dynamic of the space and how it all went down. You know, so like super fast. But they take actual photographs from the day, in the moment, and there was just like, they even interviewed the one woman who was just down there taking pictures, and like I guess her pictures are some of the more famous stills of the moments. And they take the photographs, they put them on the screen, and then they paint a VR world around it, and then eventually consume the photo with a VR. So it's like, I don't know, dude. It's just really well done. And, you know, they go up into the building, the book depository, and they're in the fucking space at the window, and they have the photo of the shells on the ground that the fucking cops took, and the window, the little stack of boxes that he had put the rifle on, and then they show you that photo, and then they paint the world around it, and you see the actual space that this happened in, you know, and you can fucking move around it and look at, like, around the fucking boxes and shit, dude. It's fucking nuts, dude. It is so fucking cool, and it's just the you know, the first layer of what VR can do for documentary stuff like this, but it is so fucking good. Yeah, and they go out on the grassy, on this actual, where this supposedly another shooter could have been. And it's not really even a speculative documentary at all. They're just kind of showing you, because there was another, either photography or some sort of other footage or something was captured from where supposedly this other shooter could have been. Mm-hmm. And they like show him, like, he was standing on this like stone pillar, and they like put your POV there and like show you, look down and see his feet, and like see the vantage point that the pictures he took, and you can see the woman that had the other pictures in his fucking photograph or whatever. So it's like, it just links it all together in this really, you know, in a 3D space, so your mind can really understand exactly how it all happened, you know. And they go to the fucking hospital. They're talking. They interview a bunch of people. The fucking lead detective in Dallas, who was like, you know, he's like a fucking, I think, like late 20s guy or something. There was no reason for this dude. He had no like resume to warrant being the lead detective or one of the lead detectives on the assassination of the U.S. president. You know what I mean? He just happened to be the Dallas guy who got assigned it, you know, and he's lived a whole crazy ass life as a result of it. So just really cool and insightful interviews and stuff. And the interviews too, you know, they're VR interviews. So you're looking at them talk in a VR, you're like in their living room with them as they're talking. They take you out into, I guess he had been, his Lee Harvey Oswald's wife and his kid, they had split up, and she was staying with this friend at the time this happened. And he came over to their house the day before, unannounced, which usually he would call before he would come over. And this woman she was staying with didn't like him. He was like they were split up for reasons, I'm sure, and I'm sure her story was not a positive one of Lee Harvey Oswald. So this woman who owned the house hated him. So he came over unannounced the day before, and she didn't realize it, but he had already been in the garage before he came in and talked to them or anything. And she didn't realize that till later, or the day after or something. And this is where the fucking rifle had been stored, dude. They go out there, and the wife knew that he had a rifle out there, and like, I didn't know any of that. Like, you know, there's like, though I don't know about what you've heard of that story, but like, you know, it's like he shot him, but like there was like, in my mind, they never necessarily had like some like really concrete proof. Otherwise, what the fuck are we talking about here? You know what I mean? Yeah, but like, no, the wife's like, yeah, he had a fucking rifle. It was in the fucking garage. It's in this blanket that was wrapped up. The blanket's there now, and the gun's gone. You know, and it's the same kind of rifle that shot the fucking president, and they had the shells for, and yada yada. Like, there's just no. It took all the, I don't know,
questions
out of it completely. And again, I've watched a million of these things. Well, not a million, but a lot of them. And how have I never heard any of that? So just a good documentary, even if it wasn't in a VR format, where you're like literally in the garage looking at the fucking photograph of the blanket where they fucking, the rifle was, you know. It's just like, it's nuts, dude. Just so crazy to be able to essentially relive something like that, created from still photographs from 50 years ago. Just nuts, dude. So fucking cool. Such a cool thing.
Nice.
Yeah, so I cannot recommend that enough. And again, it's only 35 minutes, you know. Episodes even. You can watch it episodically. Very cool. I got requested to do a Quest focus group, dude. I did it yesterday.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. They have an office right, it's like 8 minutes from my house. So they emailed me about this, and I saw where it was. I was like, fuck yeah, I'll do that. And like, this dude, they were not fucking ready for this. They were not ready for me to come in there and do this, dude. Like, I go in there, and it's like, this woman's like, so this woman's like, I don't know, man. I'd guess she was probably late 20s, maybe, you know, and she's just like, just like reading
what
things
did
off.
you do, Josh?
Yeah. Well, she's like reading things off paper. Just she's just not. She was certainly not like the most. I don't know. Socially.
Is this her first focus group? Is this her?
No, I mean, no. She didn't. It wasn't like she didn't know what she was doing.
Okay.
It's just like, she's like kind of like a. I don't know, like a rigid office worker. She's not like not ready to have a conversation with my loud ass, basically. Especially like this, where like she expects, she comes in and she like gives me this spiel about like, because it's testing. I'm not allowed to talk about any of the specifics, but it's like testing new features in the UI and stuff is what we were doing, and some of that shit might not work right because it's just prototype stuff. So she's like starts it with this like spiel about how like if anything doesn't work the way you want it or you don't have answers to the questions I'm asking you, it's not your fault necessarily. This is a prototype. I'm like, I'm like I don't give a fuck. like I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel at all times. Yeah. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? Like you don't worry about any of that. Let's go. So we do all their stuff, and then there was a component towards the end that was like related to the social stuff, in the UI, and which I've told you before, like that's like it's so bad. It's such their UI. I have so many complaints about the UI in general. Social aspects of it are horrific. And like we do this like short little thing, and like when it first pops up, I'm like, oh yes, the social shit. Like let's go. I got so much to say. And like it's just like this one little quick thing at the end. We do that, and then she's like, okay, we're done. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, no. I got let's go. I got way more to say about this. like she was just not like,
wait, I'm in the room. Yeah, I got my opportunity.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I was like, no, we got to talk about this. I got fucking solutions for you. We got to fucking, hilarious, dude. And she's like, I'll put you down the list. Like she's like, I got a feeling we'll call you again. But yeah, she was not ready for the amount of opinions I think I was bringing to the table for that.
Nice.
So that was cool.
And value. I like it.
Yeah, dude. Like, the idea of having direct input. I don't know if I've ever told this story, but I did one of those focus groups for a bank. I think it was Chase Bank actually, in New York. I think I was, and I think I fucked up credit card stuff for people. Like, so I had for a long time been on this hustle with my credit cards back when I had to carry balances because I was broke as fuck, where I was just applying for new cards every 6 months, getting the introductory. And I've been doing that for years, dude. Just get a new card for 6 or 12 months, 0% APR, transfer the balance, and just you're constantly on 0% APR. And dude, I went in there. I am not exaggerating the fucking slightest, dude. I did that. I went and did that thing, that focus group, and it was a very small amount of time. Like inside of a few months, that went away. They stopped doing that. They changed it to where there was a fee for the balance transfer. Which didn't used to be the case, So they, and I don't have any proof of this, but it sure is fishy that I was like the master hustler of that for years. I go in and dumbly say something about it in one focus group for Chase Bank, and the whole system changes. I was like, I think I ruined my own fucking hustle by being honest.
You closed the loophole.
Group. Right.
Thank God, Josh.
So fucked. So, yeah. So my point being that saying shit in those things can change things. So hopefully I can make the fucking the UI of Meta better by participating in these fucking things. We shall see. TBD. The only other thing I had
service.
Yes, absolutely. The only other thing I had was a Caveman Gaming update, which I shared in the fucking in the thread. Subnautica 3's tweet about co-op Subnautica. How fucking exciting is that, Jay? How have you not played those games either? How have you not played that or Outer Wilds? How have you not done either of these things?
Well, I dipped my toe in Outer Wilds, but there was so much other stuff at the time. Like, I think I was a new Xbox employee. Like, there was so much going on, it just kind of got lost, honestly.
You gotta redo it. Gotta get on. I'm still.
I will agree. I do need to do that.
I just got on another side tangent within the last week where I've been watching videos of people's responses to playing it for the first time, and just people rambling for hours about how it's fucking, they can't even put into words its emotional impact on them, and yada yada yada. Like,
oh my gosh!
Searching for tweets and shit. I'm just like on a whole new kick just because, and it is. It's just like I'm just like. I sit and listen to people talk about it, and it just makes me sad that I can't go to that place again because it is just this one-time experience.
Just did it.
Yeah, you cannot replicate that again once you experience it. But Subnautica, not quite that, but close. And the idea of being able to co-op that is pretty fucking cool.
If they make it co-op,
well, I
will play
based
it.
on that tweet. It's 100% happening because people were bitching about it, saying they were worried it was going to ruin the one-player experience or diminish it in some way. And they were like, no. It's like co-op's going to be an additive feature. You can play it and enjoy it as a one-player thing just the same, no problem. Which is funny.
I'm all for co-op adventures and exploration. So if that's what happens, I will jump in and we can explore the freaky underwater ocean simultaneously.
Fine. If that happens, Jay, fine. I'll dig my Xbox controllers out of the junk drawer, I suppose.